The New York Knicks have something sneaky up their sleeves in both TJ Warren and Moses Brown of the Westchester Knicks, who could have huge impacts on the team down the stretch as Tom Thibodeau's bench is not producing, meaning the starters are playing too many minutes and Tibbs refuses to bench them, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. And we're going to jump right into things as usual. And if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe. It helps us out a ton. However, let's jump into the video now because there are two guys in the G League, in TJ Warren and Moses Brown, who could each have massive production with the New York Knicks if given the chance. Now, I openly do think TJ Warren is going to get the chance to prove that he belongs on the New York Knicks roster. Well, He's already proven that he belongs to be in the NBA with his play on the Westchester Knicks. And I do believe the Knicks have noticed this and do want to call him up at some point and to use TJ Warren as a potential guy who could be in a playoff rotation. I mean, Warren is clearly too good for the G League. The Knicks signed him to an Exhibit 10 contract and then put him on the G League, or an Exhibit 9 contract, and then put him on the G League after they waived him, that is. And now where TJ Warren stands, he's going to get a ton of NBA interest. We already saw it happen with Moses Brown. We're going to see it happen with TJ Warren. But I think the New York Knicks are basically going to ensure that they can get TJ Warren onto the team. Now, look, he has had a wildly good season on the Westchester Knicks. I mean, recently put up 32 points, had a season high of 7 3-pointers made, also had 7 rebounds and 5 assists. The man is the focal point of the offense. He's showing why the Westchester Knicks are very good. It's because they have a player who has no business being in the G League. TJ Warren has proven throughout this season that he is an NBA level player, and he himself believes that. I mean, you look at the numbers that he's putting up where he's going off for 25 plus points per game, and Andy Bailey is saying it's wild to see him in the showcase. The TJ Warren saying that it's just part of his journey and he loves playing basketball, and Bailey's saying that it means that when he said that, it's just that Warren deserves to be in the NBA. And Warren said, "I know what you meant, 1,000%. Warren is confident. He believes that he belongs to be in the NBA, and the reason is because he does. TJ Warren has done everything right in the G League. He hasn't complained about being there. He's just done nothing but put up huge numbers all season. He's been hooping out there. I mean, it's really exciting to watch. If there's a G League game on, I heavily suggest you watch because we are going to see TJ Warren on the Knicks at some point later in the season. Sometime around March when the Knicks can call TJ Warren up because right now there's a financial issue. Now, it's not that the Knicks don't want TJ Warren on the team. They absolutely want TJ Warren on the team. The problem is the Knicks don't have the money right now, and they can't go over the second apron because of the Mikal Bridges trade. They're hard capped at the second apron. They only have $500,000 to work with, and TJ Warren's contract to be a little over $3 million, so the Knicks obviously can't do that. However, once March comes around, the contracts change, and the Knicks can sign TJ Warren without going into the second apron. But also the Knicks could make trades, such as moving Jericho Sims for a draft pick and having an extra $2 million, and then you're pretty close, and you could potentially move Precious Achiuwa for a cheaper player. Precious makes $6 million. You could trade for a guy who makes $5 million, like Nick Richards, and then what do you have there? You have the money to sign TJ Warren. I'll tell you one thing. I think that TJ Warren and Nick Richards is a lot better than Precious Achiuwa and Jericho Sims. I'll just say that much. Where we are right now, I think that gives you two guys who can come off the bench and give better production than most of the Knicks bench this season. And look, I mean, the Knicks bench hasn't been bad. Part of the reason is Tibbs is not giving him enough time to play. This 8-man rotation is garbage. It's not a good idea. It will cause burnout and injuries, but I've talked about that a lot, so I don't really want to harp on it that much. But Warren's been nothing short of great in his time. I mean, we're looking at a guy who's a career 14-point-per-game scorer who pulls down 2 rebounds, shoots 35% from 3 in his career, 50% from the field, has a PER average of 16.4, which is above league average is 15. TJ Warren just deserves to be playing NBA basketball, and it's truly insane that he's not. However, it does feel like that is going to change soon. It's January right now, so it would be still like 2 more months before TJ Warren joined the team, which doesn't give him a lot of time to break into the rotation, but the trade deadline is coming up. It's in less than a month, and with that in mind, we have to understand that the Knicks might make a move sooner than that, and if they do, then it creates cap space, they will try to sign TJ Warren sooner. I don't think there's anything the Knicks could use more right now outside of Mitchell Robinson than a 6'7", 6'8" guy who's a wing forward who could score on his own and just play basketball within the team. TJ Warren fills all those boxes. He is the perfect guy for the Knicks to bring in, and they wouldn't have to give up anything other than trade someone to cut salary. And if you could do a Precious for Nick Richards type swap, then you're already getting such a win on top of things as it is. And then if you trade Jericho away and pick up TJ Warren, you still have 14 players on the roster, and you wouldn't have space for a 15th. But the Knicks could also figure something else out. They'd have a little bit of money left over, and then come March, they could sign someone else potentially, like a Chuma Okeke, or there's a few other guys the Knicks could look at the G League, like Damon Baugh, who's been very good. They have some options out there, but TJ Warren is the marquee player on the Westchester Knicks. He does not belong on the Westchester Knicks. He belongs on the New York Knicks, and it's just a financial thing right now. However, there's also another guy in Moses Brown. Now, Moses Brown, he's played 1 year where he's actually been in a rotation and on a roster, and he put up 9 points and 8.5 rebounds with a block per game for the Oklahoma City Thunder in the 43 games he played. He looked very good. He looked very dominant. He looked similarly to the way young Mitchell Robinson looked, where he's thin, he's jumping through the roof, he's grabbing rebounds, he's athletic as hell, and he still plays like that. Now, when I say that, people kind of get weirded out, like, what do you mean a young Mitchell Robinson? They're a year in age apart. Mitchell Robinson's game has changed. It's gotten better. It's gotten more versatile. Yeah, he's not the same skinny guy who's flying around blocking a bunch of shots, but he's a stout center now who also is still one of the best shot blockers in basketball and the best offensive rebounder in basketball, and has become a much better rebounder overall. Mitchell Robinson has become better, and he's far better than Moses Brown is, but Moses Brown plays like young Mitchell Robinson, who is still a very, very solid player. The Knicks should look to pick up Moses Brown as well. He's the other guy who they should really look at, though Damon Baugh does deserve a look by NBA teams. If you watch G League games, you know what I'm talking about. Moses Brown has been on a bunch of NBA teams, and he's been in the NBA longer than a guy like Ariel Hukporti. So if the Knicks fear playing guys like that, playing rookies, you have a guy like Brown who's been around the block and is from New York as well, which certainly helps. Now, as the Westchester Knicks said, he's averaging 14.6 points per game and 12 rebounds per game in Westchester. He's had a phenomenal season there, and that's why the Indiana Pacers picked him up for a little bit. It didn't last. They ended up waiving him, which maybe is a sign of maybe they don't. The Knicks shouldn't look at him. I think they should. I think if you trade Jericho Sims and then Precious Achiuwa, get back Nick Richards, and could sign TJ Warren, their next move should be to bring in Moses Brown, so they still didn't lose out on a ton of big men in the process. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson and Hukporti would still be there, but you wouldn't want another big man, and that's where Moses Brown comes in perfectly. Here's what I'll say. I think if you took Precious and Jericho off the team and replace them right now with TJ Warren and Moses Brown, as my voice is completely going, I think you have a better basketball team than you have today. It's well-rounded. The defense is still there. You get a true center and not a Chua who's 6'8" and more of a power forward. It all adds up that it makes perfect sense, especially for a Knicks bench that could desperately use some help. Tom Thibodeau is not playing the New York Knicks bench at all right now. They're not getting any minutes. The starters are being overplayed. Mikal Bridges is playing an insane amount of minutes and is traveling so much distance on the court. It's going to burn these guys out, and bringing in guys who are more proven NBA players and can fit into roles with the Knicks nicely solves so many problems, especially while waiting for Mitchell Robinson to return from injury. Moses Brown is a good guy to hold the fort down. Now, looking at the Knicks bench now, there's been 4 guys who are really playing consistently off the bench right now. Deuce McBride, who has been injured the last few days, he's putting up 10 points on the season, shooting 40% from 3 and 42% from the field, also getting a steal per game, 35% on quarter threes, which is much lower than last season, but he might bounce back once he's back from the injury. Also not a serious injury there, just a little hamstring thing. Cameron Payne, who has been having an up and down season, but definitely more up than down. I mean, 7 points per game, 3 assists, hitting 40% of his threes as well, and shooting 42% from the field as well. I mean, another great player. And these guys are both great, but they're both smaller guards, which doesn't give the Knicks a ton of versatility out of their out of their 6th and 7th highest scorers on the team, which is very worrisome. Meanwhile, you have Landry Shamet, who's come in and has struggled so far shooting the ball, but also has gotten only limited attempts, so it's nothing to really worry about right now. Shamet very much could find a groove and is an a really nice ninth man, but with where the Knicks are playing right now, it's not going to get done, at least according to Thibodeau, who is not playing these guys enough. And then the big man has been Achua, who's putting up 5.5 points with 6 rebounds and 1 assist, along with 1.5 stocks per game, which is just steals plus blocks. I'm also realizing that that is not 1.5 at all, and that I just can't do math. It's 1.3. And, I mean, he's shooting well from both the field and three, 52% from the field, 38% from three. Both of these have been way up than they were previously, but his defensive box plus minus has been down. He hasn't really had the most compelling season, and it just feels like he becomes more expendable knowing he's a free agent over the offseason and very well could walk as he's unrestricted. So it would make sense for the Knicks to move away from him, and to also just bolster the bench by getting TJ Warren and Moses Brown. It feels like a win for the Knicks, and it feels like something that they could easily get done. But I do want to know what you guys think. Is this a good move for the Knicks? Let me know down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks.